scheduled meeting of the Red Oak City Council to order. Let it be known that we do have a quorum present. Everyone is in attendance. And notice has been posted in accordance to the Texas Government Code, Section 551. Councilman Drake, would you lead us in the invocation and the pledge of allegiance?
Yes, sir. Father, oh, that you will bless us indeed and enlarge our territory. Father, we thank you for this day. Father, we ask that you continue to set your hand with us, Father, and guide us. Father, we pray that you continue to watch over and lead us, Father. We ask that every step that we take, Father, is a step towards you, Father. Father, we thank you for all that you do for us. We ask you to continue to shine your light on us, Father, and lead us. We thank you for all the workers in the city, Father, all the leaders, Father. We ask that you continue to let them lead by your example, Father. We ask that you continue to shine your light down on us and watch over us, Father. Father, we ask that you just continue to guide us, Father. We need your guidance, Father. We ask for healing over each and every one of us. Those that could not be here this evening, Father, we ask for healing for them, Father. We ask for supernatural healing over this city. And we ask for a special prayer for everyone here and everyone that could not make it this evening. Father, we thank you for all that you do and all that you've done and all that you're going to do for us. Father, we ask these things in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Drake. Ms. Beasley. Ms. Coleman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. On July 2nd, the City of Red Oak, in partnership with Citizen National Bank and Oaks Church, hosted Red Oak White and Blue. This event is the largest event hosted by the City of Red Oak, and it definitely would not be possible without the support of those two entities. So Ms. Coleman and myself would like to take this opportunity to present Citizen National Bank. We don't have a representative in-house, so that's what we do have from Oaks Church, with these small plaques appreciation for their continued support of that event. So if you guys would like to come. That was all I have.
Sure, yeah. Thank you very much. We couldn't do it. We like partners within the city, and thanks for your use of your facility, the area, and the support. That's a number of years, I don't recall, but many. So thank y'all very much. Especially our Citizens National Bank, who funds a good portion of that, so thanks to them also. Ms. Beasley, I'm sure you'll take that down to Waxahachie and give that to Mr. Singleton.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. Okay, great. Chief Wolf, some exciting stuff. Share with us.
Mayor, Council, coming before you tonight to introduce two of our newest officers. Last Friday, I had the privilege to attend their graduation from the North Central Texas Council of Governments Regional Police Academy. As we continue to fill vacancies within the organization, these two recruit officers started the process roughly about 8 months ago. They were eventually hired, and we placed them into the academy, and they graduated last Friday. And so we wanted to bring them before you tonight and allow their families to pin their badges on them. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Katarina Simpson to please come up here at the podium. And her mother, Allison Bird Haley, and Sean Haley, who is also currently a law enforcement officer for UNT. And allow Mom the privilege of pinning her daughter.
That's important. And all the trouble she caused as a teenager. I'm so proud of her. Well, thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Welcome to the force, and thank you.
Thank you.
26 or 28. So the academy is roughly 5 months, and it's everything from the basic course in applied police science. There's physical components to it as well. I think y'all's graduation run was roughly 10K. It was a 10K, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
So they also completed that as part of their graduation ceremony. Katarina, she's born and raised here in Texas. She says she's a dog mom, and she enjoys working out, playing video games, and being near the water. I'm going to go ahead and bring up our next recruit officer. Both of these officers are currently in their 2-week orientation phase, where we expose them to some have-tos, and they check a couple of boxes there before we actually put them into their 24-week field training program. So they'll do an additional 6 months or so in field training before they're able to be turned out on their own. The next recruit officer that we're going to present to you is Otto Kerr. Otto, if you'll go ahead and come up. Otto served in the United States Navy from 2013 to 2018 aboard the USS Charlotte, which is a Los Angeles-class fast attack submarine. He's married with 1 child, and he says that he likes the outdoors. I'm going to ask his wife, Megan, to come up and pin him. So again, these are very special opportunities for us to get to place them in front of you, so you get to see 2 of our newest officers. We're looking forward to really good things from them, and as we continue to fill some of the vacancies that we have moving forward. But I just wanted to take that opportunity to put them before you, so you as a council could meet them tonight.
Welcome to the force.
Thank you.
Welcome to the city. I can see going liking outdoors after being on the sub, so. Okay, so now's the time for citizens' comments. We do have 2 that are turned in. Mr. Moffitt, do you want to speak now specifically, or is it, there's not an agenda item, correct? No, there's not. Okay, would you like to come up and state your name and what you, yep, please.
My name is Wes Moffitt. I'm 3200 South Houston School Road. We're actually in your ETJ. I have 2 questions, just general questions I'd like to understand. The first one is, can someone give a brief overview as to what the status of the Red Oak Industrial Development land located at the northwest quadrant of Lavelle Road and Houston School Road is? Status today?
So, can't specifically address anything because it's not on the agenda, but I can sure have someone reach out to you to make sure that we get that answered. And I do think you mean at the northeast corner of Houston School and Lavelle Road, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry, northeast corner, you're right.
Okay, I want to make sure we're talking about that same, the correct piece of property. Now, can staff answer that right now? Okay.
So, basically, we pretty much sold it all. I think closed at the end of last week.
Congratulations. You're welcome for the softball, by the way. My second question is a little bit more specific, and I wanted to kind of understand a little bit what the plans are for the extension of Tater Brown Road and Austin Boulevard, sort of what are the current plans, what are the contemplated future plans, what's the timing, and then are those streets going to be dedicated city streets, and what's the timing on that generally look like? I know generally is a pretty broad term, I'm just trying to kind of get a bigger picture understanding.
That one, we probably have to get with you offline to discuss, because not everything is completely hashed out on that. We do have Austin Boulevard run a good ways up into there, but it will go further up, and Tater Brown will come across, but I don't know exactly when or exactly where. That'll all be done as the development occurs, with the folks that went in there and bought.
Just a question, will someone reach out to me? Do I need to reach out to someone specifically, or how do I get more details
You
around?
can either give me a call or Lee McCleary.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And, Mr. Vincent, I assume you specifically want to talk about 13? Yes, sir. Okay, great, thank you. So, if I overlook it, please throw something in. I'm sure there's plenty of people that want to throw something in there, like, yes, right. Okay. Was there anybody else that wanted to speak in open session that didn't happen to fill out paperwork?
I wanted to speak on number 16.
Okay, if you'll fill that out,
Well, if he's speaking in a public hearing, then he doesn't have to.
okay,
No?
have to be, thank you. We'll make sure, just when I call for that,
Yeah.
stand up. Okay, consent agenda. Consent agendas are items that are considered routine in nature and can be acted upon in one motion. Any of these items can be withdrawn by myself, a city council member, or staff, for further clarification. These are items that we've probably talked about in the past, we've been detailed on. They're stuff that are routine or recurrent year after year, for good reasons, and so that's what a consent agenda might entail. Minutes, workshop minutes, or workshop information. So, council, is there any item in number 1 through 7 that you wish to pull?
Number 7.
7? Okay. Okay, not hearing any others, I will entertain the motion to approve item 1 through 6.
So moved.
Councilman Franklin, Councilman Lightfoot, those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Blake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. Now, item 7. Item 7 is consider adoption of resolution 22-062R, supplementing resolution 22-056R, extending and amending the state of emergency as the result of COVID-19 virus, providing for interim public safety measures, providing the city manager to provide reasonable regulations and access hours for city public facilities, providing for republishing of resolution, and providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date. Councilman Franklin, for yours.
Thank you, sir. Just more so for legal and, Todd, should we update this to include monthly box as well for the record, or is it not?
I don't think the state's done that.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're just following along suit with what the state is doing. Yeah, so we don't have any restrictions or mandates or anything, even with the COVID deal. we're just following along with what the state does, much for anything for financial, funding grants and so on and so forth.
Okay.
If the state comes back and does that on monkeypox, then we can look at that.
Does Ben have a call? And Chief, do you have an update on the outbreak in Orange County?
I hadn't heard of it.
Smallpox, monkeypox, I know it's not in Ellis County, I know certainly the United States has the greatest number in the world as far as cases, but not particularly, I've not heard any details as far as Ellis County.
So, until we get more information on the basis.
So, Mr. Fuller kind of glassed over it, but again, it's, if there's any funding that the city can receive by keeping this declaration in place, that's why we do that.
Sure, I understand. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, entertain the motion to approve, item 7.
So moved. Second.
Goodwin? Drake? Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right, that's 5-0. Regular business. Item 8, consideration of the presentation of the plan of finance prepared by Hilltop Securities and authorization of staff and financial advisor to proceed to issue Series 2022 tax notes. Hey, how are you? Good.
Mayor, Council, good evening. My name is Jorge Delgado. I'm with Hilltop Securities. We serve as the city's financial advisor. Again, I work with Jim Sponis and Andre Ayala. All three of us cover and assist the city of Red Oak. What you have in front of you today is a plan of finance to fund a number of governmental projects with the issuance of tax notes for a total of $5,220,000 worth of governmental projects. The city has gone through this process in the past, most recently early 2021. And as you got your final certified values, which are 27.6% higher than last year's, congratulations on that growth. We've been working with your city staff on a couple different scenarios as the city goes through budget. And the goal here is to fund the governmental projects, meet the city's targeted budget for fiscal year 2023, and allow for capacity and flexibility in the future should the city decide to do something in the future. I want to make sure that you understand that the city does have plenty of capacity even after the issuance of these tax notes. Just because, number one, you grew, and number two, the way your debt's structured, you have to stair-step down in the future years, so the flexibility would be there. This would consist of a tax note for a 7-year amortization with a fixed tax-exempt interest rate. What we would do is, should you decide to proceed today, we would get to work with your bond counsel and your city staff on putting together a term sheet and a financial packet that goes out to financial institutions. We would ask for bids to come in on August 29th. So we would be back here in front of you on that date, and at that point, you would be taking formal action on adopting an ordinance to enter into a tax note. This would not be rated, it would not be an open market issuance, it would be a private placement, but you do still have your AA rating by Fitch and your AA rating by Standard & Poor's. The market understands that, and they know that. So we're going the private placement route because it's a short amortization, and it's a high-rated issuer, which is Red Oak. You may have heard that financial markets are a bit turbulent right now, of course. That is the case. There's an opportunity for the Fed to meet again here in August, and of course, they're going to meet in September. The name of the game is keep rates high until inflation is under control. This rate that we're budgeting here is a conservative rate. We expect to be well below 3.50%, just from what we have seen in the past. There's no telling what's going to happen, but I can tell you that the city's in a financial position, in a very good position where this can be easily absorbed just with manipulating the structure of the tax. Again, we're targeting the proposed budget here, and this would allow for flexibility in the future. We would come back here in front of you on the 29th, and should you proceed then, we would close on September 27th. and then the city would have the funds in the city's accounts on that date. And we would have closed with that. The repayment source is the INS funds, the debt service funds of the city. Any questions from you, please?
Jorge, thank you. So, council, that's, some of those paperwork that we went through our budget workshop, the third one, which is 5.155 million, is that right? Or is it
5,220,000. 5,220,000. 5,220,000 of project funds.
Okay, so that's on page,
The scenarios are all the way to the tank, but there's not one for that exact amount.
okay. So, I think you answered some of the questions, that we still have our AA rating, just for public to know, and, those projects were the ones that we kind of talked about in our budget workshops. And there's not necessarily any, action item on this, correct?
Well, it'd be
Right,
a motion approving staff and Hilltop
To implement the
proceed.
plan of finance.
Okay. So that's
So it'd be a motion to approve of plan of finance to issue $5.220 million, as we discussed in the budget workshop.
okay. Second. Councilman Lightfoot, second was Councilman, Goodwin. Okay, I just want to make sure, because it doesn't say that we have an action item. We're good? Mr. Reyes? Okay, thank you. Any other questions for this? No, sir. Right. Those in favor? Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right, that passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 9, authorize a public hearing on the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget, setting a date, time, and place for the public hearing, and direct publications for the budget hearing in accordance to the Texas law.
Good evening, again, Mayor and Council. This item is to authorize a public hearing for the fiscal year 2023 budget, proposed budget, to allow for public comments on the proposed budget and to schedule that time, which we have tentatively discussed August 22nd at 6:30 p.m. here at the Municipal Center.
Move that mic a little closer to her.
And closer to that help.
Pull it down. There you go.
Okay, is that better? Okay, so this is again to request authorization of the public hearing on the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget. We hold that hearing to allow for public comment on the proposed budget. And so we have discussed that at the 2 budget workshops, including tonight, where we discussed adding additional capital items, and the debt that we just discussed as well. So those items will be updated on the city's website, included in the proposed budget, and that hearing we discussed to hold on August 22nd at 6:30 p.m. And so we would ask if you would make a motion to set that time for that public hearing.
Any questions? Okay, I need someone to read this motion as it is in your packet, please.
I'll do it for us. I make a motion to set the date for the public hearing on the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget for August 22nd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Located at the Red Oak Municipal Center, 200 Lakeview Parkway, Red Oak, Texas, and direct public notification of the budget hearing according to state law.
Second. Councilman Lightfoot, thank you. Councilman Drake, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so these are meetings that are important, that need to be here. How do you vote?
Franklin, aye.
Drake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
That's 5-0. All right. Item 10, consideration and possible action regarding the proposed tax rate for the fiscal year 2023. Take a roll call to propose the rate and set a date and time and place for the public hearing on the proposed tax rate. So, Blatt, you wanna give us some more background information?
Again, this is as we discussed, earlier in the budget workshop, with the proposed rate that we discussed. So that would be the M&O rate of 0.481043 and a debt service rate of 0.216421. M&O rate, again, is to fund the, general fund budget operations, and the debt service rate funds the debt, the projects that we discussed earlier. So this rate will fund all of the city's existing debt, plus the $5 million, discussed in the earlier item, 5.220. So we would ask council to propose this rate. There is a motion stated. Read it this way. This is the rate that you propose.
So I'm gonna read something first, and then I'll entertain the motion, please. So the recommendation by the council, recommended council, action is the proposed rate to fund the proposed budget for a rate of M&O of 0.481043, proposed debt rate of 0.216421, proposed total rate of 0.697464 per $100 of assessed valuation, which is a reduction in the current year's tax rate. Any questions? Okay. Each of us has received the proper roll call vote, so I'll entertain that motion to read it accordingly, and then we'll do a roll call.
I'll read it again if you're
Excellent, please.
Okay. I move that the council propose a maintenance and operations rate of $0.481043 and a debt rate of $0.216421 for a total property tax rate of $0.697464 per $100 of assessed valuation. And also move that the public hearing on the tax rate be set for August 29th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. located at the Municipal Center at 200 Lakeview Parkway, Red Oak, Texas.
Thank you, Councilman Lightfoot.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilman Drake. Any other questions? No questions. All right. By name and action, please.
Franklin, aye.
Goodwin, aye.
Drake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right. That passes 5-0. All right. Thank you, Ms. Blatt. Item 11, consider adoption of resolution number 22-063R, the City Council of the City of Red Oak, Texas, accepting a petition for voluntary annexation and authorizing the setting of a date, time, and place for a public hearing on the contemplated annexation described in Exhibit A and depicted in Exhibit B attached hereto and made part here of, for all purposes, annexation area by the City of Red Oak, Texas, authorizing and directing the city staff to publish notices for such hearing with the institution of annexation proceedings by adoption of the annexation of ordinance to occur at a special called city council session, and to prepare a service plan for the annexation area, said annexation area being more particularly described in Exhibit A and depicted in Exhibit B, and providing an effective date. Mr. Hartman, or?
Ben can pull it up on the screen.
Yeah.
This is a voluntary annexation again. It's just not coming through on these.
Yeah, let me share my screen. All right, should be up on your screen now.
Yeah, so this is an area out at the far southeast area within our ETJ, and it is under a current non-annexation agreement, which they are now bringing in voluntarily. It is also adjacent to additional properties that have non-annexation agreements already authorized, which makes it contiguous to the city limits. Therefore, it is eligible to come into the city. And basically all we're doing is starting the process for that voluntary annexation. I believe you have all that information in the thing.
So, it looks like, so August 31st, newspaper notices and public hearings, utility notices, school district notice, notice to railroad if applicable, and post notice on website and maintain until complete. That's gonna be, guidelines of what they have to do. And then September 12th, hold a public hearing and adopt annexation ordinance at the city council meeting.
Being built out there.
I haven't seen, all I've seen is the petition.
Mayor and council is resolved, I ask you to go ahead and make the petition to set the notice for August 31st and public hearing for September 12th.
So, is that the wordage that we need to use, sir? Okay.
Move. Second.
Is that good, Mr. Hagan?
Yes,
All
sir.
right. So, Councilman Goodman? Councilman Lightfoot? Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Yes, aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. Item 12. Consider approval of ordinance number 22-024, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, providing for voluntary annexation of territory generally described as being 71.88 acres, more or less, out of the William H. Shelton Survey, Abstract 996, in the City of Red Oak, ETJ, Ellis County, Texas, as described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein for all purposes to the City of Red Oak, Texas, and extending the boundary of limits of the city so as to include said property within the city limits, granting to all inhabitants and owners of said property all the rights, privileges, and other citizens and binding all inhabitants to all the ordinances, acts, resolutions, and regulations of said city, providing for a service plan, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference, providing a severability clause and providing an effective date.
I'll take that.
Thank you.
This is a little over 70 acres, off of Old Villa Road, behind the Camden and Oakmont subdivision, directly behind Eastridge Baptist Church. And there is a subsequent zoning case that we'll hear after this, if the annexation is approved, voluntary annexation request, and thereby we will zone it accordingly afterwards in another public hearing following this one right here.
Okay. Council, are there any questions that you have about this?
No questions.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance 22-024. Okay, we got, Councilman Drake.
Second.
Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Yes, aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. Item 13, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 22-025, the City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as hereto amended by granting a change in zoning from Agricultural Zoning District, AG, to Plan Development 139, PD 139, to allow for single-family homes and associated open spaces on approximately 71.88 acres out of the William H. Shelton Survey, Abstract number 996, being located 1,300 feet north of Little Road and east of Crest Haven Street in the city of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. Said property being more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein, and providing for development regulations which are attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibits B through U, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, providing an effective date requested by Mitzi Sue Frammel and Thomas Edwin Mitchell. Dr. Emmett.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request to rezone the subject property from agricultural district to Plan Development 139 for the development of a single-family residential subdivision. The development proposes 102 single-family homes and 15 common area lots. The residential density will be approximately 1.4 units per an acre, and the minimum living area will be 2,200 square feet. The lots will be a minimum of 22,000 square feet, and access to the site will be from Mina Street and Spring Circle with 2 future access points from Hearthstone Boulevard on the north and south. There will be a north-south 8-feet wide trail along the west side of the property with trees planted along its sides. 4 traffic calming devices will be placed throughout the subdivision to slow down traffic in the neighborhood. Staff recommends approval of the request as presented, and the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of the request.
I'll go through some of the other elements that are within the zoning to kind of give a more of a complete picture. But right now it's kind of in the middle of a couple of large tracts, being behind the East Ridge Baptist Church. So our transportation plan has 2 thoroughfares in proximity, one that goes through it, and then one that is best laid up to the north of the property here. So we had the developers include that in the exhibit, so it was clear that we were, following the master thoroughfare plan. The homes are high-quality Bloomfield homes. I'll let them talk a little bit more about that. Just going to run through some of the elevations. They're all J-swing or rear entry homes from a garage orientation standpoint. One thing I would like to point out is that the collector road that does run through there, that's on the transportation plan, we went back and forth on, is it a good idea to front homes, is it not? And ultimately decided let's side as many homes as we can. But then to make the development work from the developer standpoint, we did allow them to front some of the homes on the collector, which is going to be generally feel like a higher speed roadway, just because the right of way is going to be a little wider. So in order to combat and try to keep an element of safety in there, but while still providing access, we pushed the front building line of the homes that front that street, we pushed them back 10 feet. And in addition to that, they have to have a minimum of 3-car garage, and a minimum of 3 off-street parking spaces in the driveway, or like parking pads, in the front yard. Essentially just making their driveway big enough to hold extra cars so that they don't have people who want to come visit and park on the street on a major collector, a larger collector. And in addition to that, we also did traffic calming elements. So here at the intersections, they're small roundabouts instead of a 3-way stop or something that allows traffic to slow down and come through there, but also gives an aesthetic element to the subdivision where they have better opportunities for some additional landscaping and things like that, just to be a better looking street scene. So all in all, it's a good subdivision. They're providing all the other things that we're asking of any other subdivision: decorative street lights, decorative street signs, you know, walking trails, things like that, so. If you got any other questions, I'm sure the developer has, and I do have some material the developer dropped off if you'd like to see home elevations and things like that.
Sounds about a good idea.
Okay. So this is a public hearing, and the time is 7:43, and we will open this public hearing. And, Mr. Vincent, you want to step up and state your name, your address, and, who you are? Sure, you bet. However you want to do it.
Hand out. Okay. Here's a brochure. Okay. This is a presentation that I think, Mr. Hartman has, we can go online. This is just hard copies for y'all. And, Ben did a great job of,
So, and just before you get started, just, appreciate you providing this, and we can kind of peruse them, make it as quick, you got your 3 minutes, aspect, and then we can ask some questions.
excellent. Mayor and Council, thank you. My name is Clint Vincent. I'm the Vice President of Land for Bloomfield Homes, 1050 East Highway 114, that's in South Lake, Texas, 76092. Ben did a great job of describing the project, so I know that your time is very valuable, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but Ben, if you might hit the next slide. I just wanted to give the council a good idea of kind of who we are. Bloomfield was the 2021 Greater Fort Worth Builder Association Home Builder of the Year. We built over 2,000 homes. We are the highest market share from that range of $350,000 to $500,000 price range. Next bullet point is specializes in nicest neighborhoods of smaller cities. Essentially, we want to come to these smaller cities like Red Oak and not be that value play. We want to bring a lifestyle component to it with a little better and nicer house. We believe people grew up in neighborhoods like this and want to continue to raise their children in neighborhoods like this. Previously named the fastest growing builder in the nation. The next two slides are really stuff that Ben's already covered, so I don't want to belabor that. If you go to the classic series, there you go. So this is just a general idea. These are pictures taken from Bloomfield neighborhoods in the Metroplex. So we build the same product here that we would be building in Frisco or Prosper or wherever we're building. This is just an easy way for us to show that a lot of times developers will come up here and be able to talk about the neighborhood, but they don't know who's going to be building in the neighborhood, what product's going there. We have the advantage of being the developer and the builder, and so we can commit to product. As you're looking at it right now, these will be the houses that are built in this neighborhood. These are the same houses built other places, and without going too far into it, and I want to respect everybody's time, the next few slides really get into the interior and exterior elements, some of the energy efficiencies that we have, but really here to tell you how excited we are to be in Red Oak and to answer any questions that you might have.
Is there anybody else here to speak on this item? I'll entertain a motion at 7:47 to close this public hearing. Councilman Franklin, Councilman Drake. Those in favor? Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Thanks, aye.
So, council, any questions on this? I actually do have.
Yeah, I have a question as well.
Go ahead, sir.
Ben, you mentioned a front yard setback, what was that number?
40 foot instead of 30. So this is like an estate-style subdivision, because the lots are so big, it's 22,000 square feet. But they are gonna have septic. And so, a lot of the 1 acre lots and a lot of the half acre lots even, in our base RE district would have a 40-foot setback. But in the case where you have a septic system, we don't want to inhibit people from being able to build back patios and pools and have like a storage shed. So we wanted to bring that forward, a little bit to do a 30-foot, but we left it 40 on the collector to get the home as far away from the road as possible, just for, to help alleviate issues with traffic moving through there.
So how deep are those lots along that collector?
They're about 200 and change.
Typical 200,
Yeah.
about 200.
So that gives you enough depth for a pool and septic and everything like that?
Yes, sir, it does.
We're not gonna have septic sprinklers out front?
No,
Okay, just making sure.
That's a good question.
Second question is, I know the roundabouts is there to kind of control traffic. In the event someone parks on the street, how does that affect the traffic flow in this particular?
It wouldn't, so the road would be essentially 40 feet wide, it would be 39 back to back. And so you'll still have, you could park on both sides and still have adequate access, to move 2 lanes of traffic through there. Now, we don't want to do that, and so we're trying to give them every opportunity to not park on the street. And, you know, if it becomes a problem in the future when it's actually a through roadway, we can always, sign it no parking. But right now, like as you can see in the layout, there's no real issue. But it will be an issue because everyone's gonna buy in here, and then the second buyer's gonna buy, and they're never gonna know that there was supposed to be a road going north and south from Ovilla to, Loop 9. And so when we actually come to build it, or the rest of this land develops and the roads get put in, we wanna make sure that they are set up to not have to park on the street. And that's why we did these have to have 3-car garages and have to have, additional 3-car, parking on the site.
That's just those western lots?
Yes.
So everything else can be a 2-car?
Right.
And the western ones are the ones that have the walk path?
So there's a walking path behind, so there's a gas easement that runs through the property. So the gas line comes up through, if y'all remember, I don't know if y'all remember, but it kind of goes like this, next to the soccer field, comes up here, goes behind these lots back here, comes up here, along the property line, then shoots out to the north. So in order to try and utilize this space, and certainly not have it in people's backyards, it's a dedicated HOA lot that has a sidewalk and some landscaping in it that connects from here to here, so it's a walking trail.
Okay, so you're saying these western lots will be affected by Loop 9?
No, I'm saying when the road, I'm sorry, I probably didn't say that right. So you can see this dashed line that
Right.
continues up. This, in our master transportation plan, has a north-south collector that goes from Ovilla Road to Loop 9. And so because it was planned for in this area at the time, because there was no development here. Well, now we're having development, so we gotta make sure we set aside and build the roadway through. But, like I said, these folks are, you know, because of the timing of when the actual full length of the roadway would get done, you know, maybe 15, 20 years from now, the people that buy this home, and Louisville's gonna tell them, you know, here's the deal, but they're gonna be selling, it'll change hands a couple times. And what I don't wanna have is a bunch of houses that are close to the roadway without any element of having extra parking, and then we try to build this road, and everybody's up here at a council meeting telling us, no, we're not gonna build a road through the neighborhood. This allows us to say, hey, look, you know, this road was planned for, and here's why your house looks like it does.
We're clear, thank you.
Should we go ahead and on that road now, because it will be a problem later, go ahead and post that as no parking on the street?
I guess we could, but is that a separate ordinance, Bob, we have to do that with?
Can't do it in the PD ordinance. What concerns me is everybody will be parking on the street. And then when it does become a problem, they're all mad because we come in and do a new ordinance for no parking on the street.
Right.
So, yeah.
Changes everybody up. I mean, we can come back next month and do it.
When we accept the road, we gotta build it first.
Yeah.
So on acceptance, that's the word.
I think you put those spikes out there so they can't come on. Anyway. So those lots potentially will be deep, not as deep because they have a dedicated easement for the,
Well, they're dedicating it all, and they've set it up based on, 200-foot depth, and then.
those southern ones, will those be deeper?
Yeah, now, yes, those are deeper, so these,
That's 200 there.
yeah, so you got 220 here, and then as you move, south, these are actually even deeper at 300.
Okay.
And the reason these are shallow is because of the,
Right.
the HOA locks, the gas line.
So do we know what type of fencing is required back there?
So there's two types, I think we did,
There one on both sides of that?
yeah, so there's one, Warren, correct me if I'm wrong, we did a wood stockade fence to separate the city and the county area, is that right?
That's right.
And then the,
And then you've got that's gonna be a view fence.
yeah, the decorative metal on the back side of the block.
You don't end up with like a stockade
Right.
area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, so you've got decorative metal here and then stockade here against the county line.
I love the idea of the parking zone.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think if we could get that followed up.
And what do they call those, besides the roundabout things? No?
The chicane?
Yes.
the-
So describe that. Is that like just a half speed bump that's skewed?
We've got a picture, I missed it.
Did I miss it? Yeah.
There's just kind of like islands in the, if you want to zoom. Kind of slows traffic down. We won't have the center median, but it's, the islands kind of jump out in the physical throughway for the traffic. So people just need to slow down to navigate that.
That's up and down that collector road?
In one spot, in the center.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the road's going straight, but that element causes you to have to maneuver and slow down.
So is the intent for those to be shrubbed, or is it intended for them to be bricked?
Like similar to this is what we had in mind.
Okay. And that's HOA that takes care of that?
Yes.
You know, because those branches, those, crepe myrtles hanging out there, scratching cars and fire trucks when they're going up. Okay. So we'll have that little drainage area off to the left? Or will that be solid with the curb?
It's all gonna be landscaped all the way over to the sidewalk.
To the sidewalk?
So there's really, that one was put in an existing street, so that's the way they had to build it that way. So starting from scratch, we can do without that.
Okay. Council, any other questions? No, sir. Do you have a time frame on when you plan on starting?
Sorry?
Time frame, sorry.
We would close on the property probably 30 days after approval of the zoning pending y'all's approval. On engineering plans, so, I wish it was as fast as it was 5 years ago, but really it's probably 2 years before you're selling houses with 6 months to get it engineered and 18 months to build it, but
Okay.
that would be the game plan.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 22-025.
So moved.
Councilman Franklin. Second. Councilman Gregg. Any other discussion? At what point can those signs be put in? That's when they come back with other,
We can come back at any point.
When
and
we
amend the
accept
ordinance.
the street, when we accept the infrastructure, we'll do the ordinance.
okay.
Until we accept it, the way regulations.
Okay. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. Thank you to Bloomfield Homes. Thank you all, gentlemen. Item 14. Consider approval of preliminary plat for the proposed planned development zoning district 139, PD 139 for single-family homes associated open space on approximately 71.88 acres out of the William H. Shelton Survey Abstract 996, further described as being generally located approximately 1,300 feet north of the Little Road and east of Crest Haven Street, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, requested by the same. Dr. Emmons.
This is a request for a preliminary plat for the, Glenbrook subdivision that was just approved.
Entertain a motion. Entertain a motion to approve this, preliminary plat.
So moved.
Councilman Goodwin, Councilman Lightfoot, those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. Thank you. Item 15, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 22-026 in the city of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the city of Red Oak, Texas, as hereto amended and granting a change in zoning from single-family resident district R3 to planned development 142, PD 142, for single-family homes approximately 1.0302 acres located on 324 Methodist Street, being Lot 1, Block A of Methodist Street Addition, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. Said property being more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing for development regulations, fencing, elevations, and survey, Exhibit B through E respectively, which are attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty, a fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date, requested by D-Road.
And Emma can give you more details, but this is, if you'll remember, back at the workshop and a couple of other times we've talked about it, this is the property on Methodist Street that we were gonna list, and we got the idea maybe we put the basketball court and so forth in there. And finally, you all said, no, let's go ahead and replat it and get as much value out of it as we can, because if we go sell it to somebody else, then they're just gonna replat it and get all the value out of it. So that's what, Ben and Emma have done, is come back, now we're actually doing that. So we've got the zoning in front of you.
Correct. This is a request to rezone subject property from single-family residential 3 to planned development 142 for the development of a single-family residential subdivision that will have 3 homes. The minimum living area will be 2,400 square feet, and the lot sizes will be a minimum of 8,400 square feet. A shared access easement will be provided from Methodist Street for access to the 3 lots. Staff recommends approval of the request as presented. On August 1st, 2022, the Planning and Zoning Commission did make a motion to deny the request, and the motion was tied 3-3, resulting in a recommendation for denial.
All right. So, it was at P&Z, it failed, tied 3-3. Okay?
So it comes forth with denial, and it'll require supermajority vote to be passed.
What's the
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
Yes.
Okay. So, what were their problems?
So the main concerns were, access, there being one, access point to the 3 lots, and there being a chaotic issue where it's blocked.
Yeah, so, and when I was looking at this because I was doing all the layout for it, what I would have told any developer coming in here is, I'm not giving you 3 driveways on Methodist Road. And so that's why we, have a 24-foot, shared access driveway, for the 3 lots. And it'll be a common access easement, similar to, any commercial development that has a 24-foot, fire lane, access point. And so the idea was if you look at your screens here, and this is the old plat, so you can ignore these building lines, but the lot, the home would be around this area, and then they'd have a J-swing drive that faced into the common access easement, and this one would have their, home face, or their garage facing into the common access easement, so they can just easily come in, turn in, and then this one would continue on into the back where they can have any layout really that they wanted, because the lot back here is so big. But as far as it blocking up and everything, the plat's gonna state all the standard things we would say on any common access easement. You can't, prohibit access, on that area in that lot. So, I'm certainly not as concerned with it as they were, and I certainly wouldn't want to see more driveways, than are absolutely necessary, out onto Methodist Road. But we've looking at, first thing we looked at was, okay, what's the lot size right now that you have to have? It's 8,400 square feet. So we didn't change any of the lot size, from a square footage standpoint, and you're still, even in the back, you've got a 27,000 square foot lot in the back, which would be like an estate type home, and then your front lots would be more like a standard home, with a J-swing drive. But we did want to maximize our land and utilize, the water and sewer, where we actually have it available, which is here.
So those would be on sewer, and the 24-foot driveway, that's not a standard driveway.
That's pretty large. Most builders are building 12-ish foot driveways, 12 to, our minimum 10, but, in a lot of cases, we go 12 foot wide.
But is that for fire to get down to that second lot?
Yeah, so I talked with the fire marshal, and so when this house gets built in the back, he may want to see it extended. So right now, the access easement stops, about right here, which is where we would require 24 feet from an access standpoint. But depending on what size home they build and where it is on the lot, he may want to see him either continue that 24 feet, or something less, but something certainly to support a 90,000-pound vehicle. So maybe it's only 16 feet wide, but it's 5 inches thick all the way down instead of your standard 4.
Okay.
Is that a cul-de-sac, or?
No, it's simply the lot, yeah, the house will just be back here.
So that depth, that kind of grayish area, that's just to get the fire truck off of Methodist.
Yeah, that's to get everyone off of that, that's the driveway.
That's the shared part, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So they all 3 share the driveway to that point.
You could gate, the person that owns the bigger lot could gate it at that point.
Yeah, they could gate it where the common access point is. I don't know if fire should want a Knox box on it or whatever, but.
So those are still, which way is the house facing?
Towards, Methodist, but the garage is a J-swing, so you
In the
pull
front.
in like that and in like that, so you would still be a side entry / standard garage.
That's 50 foot wide there?
Wouldn't you have a street on the south side kind of thing, and 3 lots? the depth would be very shallow on the lot. It's only 127 total, and so even taking out 50-foot right-of-way, you're talking about 80-foot depth only.
Okay.
And I would say shared access is very, very common, for it in development, but that's, yeah, I'm not alarmed by that. My concern is egress for a fire truck.
Oh, hang on, let's back up. Let me open this as a public hearing, right? I'm sorry. I missed that a while ago.
For the record, we'll include all the comments that have been made, therefore include that.
Perfect. All right. Let's set up. Sorry about that. Time's 8:08, we'll open this public hearing. Okay, now, please.
Again, shared access is very common, in the development world. My concern is the ingress and egress for a fire truck to get to lot 3 and to get out of the development. It is not a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, so that's something we would work through with fire on the actual, the permitting stage, so whether it's, 16-foot wide or 18-foot wide, and possibly, some kind of turnaround facility in front of the house out there. But we wouldn't, in this phase of zoning or plating, we wouldn't necessarily say that we would want an easement for that at this point.
It really wouldn't be.
We could have one, it's not.
It really wouldn't be any different than any other house with a long setback, that you're just going down the driveway and put the fire. You'd have to make sure that the paving's thick enough to support it.
Right, because right now, our zoning ordinance allows, if the driveway's over 200 feet, it can be gravel or something like that, so we definitely have it in here that it's got to be concrete, it'll meet the standards of the fire department.
Chief Blanton's okay with this?
Well, I've talked with Nathan, but I don't know if he talked with you about it.
So you're okay?
Yes, sir, as long as we get access in there, if we weren't able to have access to drive back in there a ways, there would be some concerns as far as hose lays getting that far back to lot 3. That's how we can get the fire truck, close to the home. Right. That distance is then lessened, for the hose line. Is there anybody in the audience that wanted to speak on this or online that wanted to speak on this? So that dedication, that's that 37, that's for our Methodist expansion.
That is for the ultimate section of Methodist, which is not what we're about to do right now. The ultimate section is 100 feet wide, which is just not warranted at this time, and we would be $12 million over budget if we tried to do that, just on right-of-way cases and additional.
But it lines up with the right-of-way to the north.
Yes, and this has already been dedicated. So this area has already been dedicated for that future Methodist, and then all we're gonna do is dedicate the common access easement here, and then this is just the length of the driveway here. That would be the bare minimum length for the 24 foot.
Chief Lindsay, you online?
Yes, sir. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I just want to let you know that 3 senior members of P&Z were the ones that voted against it. And it was, as Ben stated, the ingress, egress, and safety issues that was the concern.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. That lot being in the back, number 3, are we putting that in, that'll be the only lot? If the developer comes in, split that into 3 lots? Or are we making it?
They can be sold. Is that correct?
No, I think he's asking if.
Can they come in and go, just like those same styles?
Yeah, they would have to come back for a zoning case and show us how you're gonna accomplish it. I think at that point, I don't know if I would be able to, I wouldn't be able to recommend approval of that, because otherwise I'd be telling you to do it right now.
Right.
Because that would be more something like, doing like an actual public roadway into the back, but then you start doing that, and, you know, a radii in a cul-de-sac is 50 feet, so that makes it a 100-foot diameter, which would eat up, you know, from here to here. So it wouldn't really be able to do anything like that.
If we approve this, this is what it has to be.
Yes, unless, someone can always submit a zoning application, but
You can deed restrict. It has to be zoning has to change.
they would also have to do that. Because what this is entitling is only 3 lots.
Right now.
Right.
Up to 3.
Sure. Yeah,
They can come back and say.
we wouldn't necessarily bring it back before council if somebody bought it, like, well, I only want to split it into 2 lots. But, our intent is to move forward with the replat if this is approved, and then have an agent or whoever market all 3 lots individually, or to one builder or something, you know.
And what were you, Council, what were you saying about,
Well, you could deed restrict properties in town.
to say what do you mean by that? Why?
More than 3 lots.
No more than 3.
And I think that's addressed with the zoning also, then somebody couldn't come back and ask for a rezone. The other thing that it does let you do is, you know, make all your masonry requirements, any architectural requirements, anything like that that you want to have.
And that, yeah, those were all in there as well, so you could just copy and paste those into a deed restriction.
Exactly.
What's that total lot size?
Right now, the total existing lot size is 1.03 acres. And we'll end up with 2 8,400 square foot lots and one a little over a half acre.
So can't you zone it and just say someone has to buy the whole thing and just have one house on it?
That's what it is right now today, but inherently that's less value than subdividing into 3 lots. I mean, you can go either way.
It's the value of whatever someone wants to pay for it.
Well, yeah, except that they won't buy it.
Right.
You know, the problem is, if you list it as is today, you're listing.
Y'all are looking at it as a developer. If an individual came and wanted to buy it, to put one house on there, y'all are looking at.
You can't control that.
But it's also gonna be controlled by the market, and what someone is gonna be able to get an appraisal for. Typically, that's based on the value of the house that they're gonna build, and so they would have to pay cash. But I think you're still talking about, you know, 100,000 versus maybe double that.
For 3 lots.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone else that wants to speak on this? The time is, I'm sorry. Sure.
How many of these homes are going to be on city?
Right, you're gonna speak. You can get up and give us your name and address.
Mine's just a question.
Your name and address.
How many of these houses are going to be on city?
Smith.
For the record.
327 Meadow Lane, Red Oak, Texas.
Okay. What's your name?
Larky Dean Smith.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
So how many of them are going to be on septic tank?
None.
I thought you heard earlier say they're going to be on septic tanks.
That was the other development we were talking about. In this development, they have access to sewer, so they'll be on sewer.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Jerry Ray, I'm 322 Methodist, right next door.
South?
Excuse me, right there. Okay. Yeah, right next door to the planned, place. A few questions I have and concerns. One, we're building right on top of each other, and it's becoming really congested. I'm concerned with that. I'm concerned with the fire. You know, you got a bunch of new homes that you'll be building right on the backyard. You'll be building right on the side of mines. If a fire breaks out in that home area, the fire spreading would be really easy. I would prefer to see maybe the city use that land for like a skate park for the kids or something like that. I think that'd be more beneficial with all the community that's growing. And that's about all I got.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Ben, can you pull up, Google Earth on where his house is in relationship to that and what that distance is? I assume it wasn't, I'm sorry, it's not on my, I know, I'm not gonna turn around. Would you put it on this?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was sharing. Looks like it'd be about, I'm just measuring on Google Earth here, and it's probably about 60 feet from the existing house, on his property, to the first, house on the south.
And that's before we talk about setbacks or field lines or anything like that.
Right, and they have, it's a 5-foot build line, but his house is pretty far away from his property line. Do you happen to know how far your house is from your property line?
I haven't measured it.
Okay.
Are those trees yours?
Depends on which ones you're speaking on. I will step up on it.
Please.
Are you speaking on the crepe myrtles off Methodist?
No, right there.
Right on the side, okay. According to the stakes that were just put out last week, it looks like those trees sit just like splitting the property line.
Yeah, so his house over here is a carport.
There's the carport, and then the wooden fence goes all the way out to about where that tree is.
Right, so you've got what appears to be a little over 60 feet to the actual property line, and then at the home. 5 feet.
Thank you, sir. All right, anyone else?
My opinion is, our fire department is okay with it. And I think, if they're not concerned about the access.
And shared access is very, very common. Very developed, and this is actually a conservative shared access.
Right.
I've seen 40 houses on the lot this size.
Right.
And they're small, of course, but this is very conservative.
Well, let me close this public hearing, and let's continue to discuss. I was trying to close that while ago, so that's, I'm sorry, the time's 8:20. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Councilman Franklin, Councilman Blackwood. All right, those in favor?
Franklin,
Aye.
Great guy.
Smith, aye. All right, 5-0, okay. All right, so now, you're okay with it based on fire, you're okay because of the common access?
Up development is the same.
Okay. Any other questions? I guess my question is, why are we trying to get it off the books? I mean,
We've got a ton of houses on 50-foot lots. And you probably got 20 feet between them. What are we talking about? I mean, this is.
so this is 50 by,
Well, yeah, the 50 by 168, the other 50s we have are around 120 feet deep, so these are,
Lot
deeper
deeper.
than the usual, than the regular 50-foot lots that we have. So I zone this the way that I would have told any developer coming in here trying to cut it up and do it. And so I wanted to make sure I wasn't, going away from what I would tell anybody that walked in here and tried to zone this property this way.
The white part in front, dedication, is that for the new?
That's for the future Methodist, the full section of Methodist.
Not the one we're working on?
Right, right. Right now, we're just trying to get it wide enough that you can have a fire truck and a school bus go by each other.
all right. Any other discussion?
Did you get your question?
No, I didn't,
Why,
but
why we're
that's-
trying to get rid of this?
I mean, I don't get to vote on this, so I just,
Yeah.
but I just question, it's hard to reacquire land for parks and stuff like that, and even though that was proposed, to our entity that does parks, and they didn't really like it, they might at some time in the future, so, is it something we have to unload?
So my thought is, we don't have to, but in an area where it's gonna be valuable as residential, that's probably the highest value for the land. We looked at the options for parks and the cost to put something there when there's nothing there today, no infrastructure there. To use the full acre was gonna be a significant cost, so it's a decision of selling for value at the highest value that we could possibly get, which would be, pre-platting it, versus investing and putting money into that when it's probably not the best place for parks, and we had some other places that were already somewhat developed for parks. That's the summary of the discussion that we had, actually. I just think we got lots of money, we could potentially.
I don't disagree with that, I just am bringing that up.
Understood, yeah, it's good to summarize, for sure, those discussions.
All right. Anyone else? All right, entertain the motion to approve ordinance 22-026.
So moved. Second.
Goodwin? Lightfoot? Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye. Troy, aye. Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
That's your super?
It is in fact a unanimous vote, and now we pass it to the super majority.
All right.
Well, I don't want to eat lawyer.
Okay, item 16, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 22-027, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as hereto amended by granting a change in zoning from Plan Development 24, Revision 3, PD 24 R3 to Plan Development 24, Revision Revised 4, PD 24 R4, to extend the building on the southwest corner of the site, relocate dumpster, and allow for other modifications on the site on real property located on 106 Plaza Drive, being Lot 3, Block 1, Red Oak Plaza, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. Said property being more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and incorporated herein to provide site and proposed text dot plan, elevations, and development regulations which are attached here to and incorporated herein as exhibits B through D, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date, requested by, Mr. Patel. And, you want to give us background first, and then we'll open the...
Sure.
Thank you.
This is a request to amend the zoning on the property to allow for the extension of the building on the southwest corner of the site and relocate the dumpster to the southeast corner of the site. According to the applicant, the addition will allow for additional storage space for medical supplies and a break room for employees. There has also been illegal dumping in and around the dumpster, so its relocation will prevent any access to Dana Street. A screening wall will be installed between the proposed building addition and the wall to the west to prevent any sort of trespassing. Staff recommends approval of the request as presented, and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval.
So I was just bringing up, currently the dumpster faces over here on the Dana, which is in, Beckley Pipes, and, the owner's been having issues with illegal dumping, and then also people walking through between the building, and so, essentially this serves as almost like a screening wall, and cuts off, people's access into his property as well as, so the building extensions over here, we were just looking at this spot right here. And so he'll, continue the brick wall here and the new building here so people can't get into the property. and then the dumpster will be relocated, over here, while still being able to keep all their parking, or not lose any of their parking, and then, doing some additional landscaping around the, edges of it here.
So, okay. So this is a public hearing, and we will open the public hearing at, 8:28. And Mr. Patel, would you like to stand up and, give us your address and, what you want to say about this?
Sunny Patel, 106 Plaza Drive, Red Oak. So, yes, I'm the physician and owner of this parcel. As some of you all know, this used to be a foreclosed property, so I think this is a good time for you to understand what's happening at this parcel. Now it's 2 functioning, pretty busy medical practices. We also have a research center here. So it is good for the city to know that this area is becoming a little bit of a medical hub. Some of you may not be aware, there is no other rheumatology group in Ellis County except ours. So all of these patients with rare diseases used to go downtown Dallas, North Dallas. Now they do not have to do so. I think in terms of the growth, in terms of number of houses that are developing, healthcare needs are going to go up tremendously. We also do research here. So what's happened essentially is we need a little bit more storage space, break room, and our chemotherapy medications need their own separate room. We can use the space just as is right now, but this is really for more practical purposes of spacing out the employees and break room and supplies. So I'm hitting a few areas when I do this project, and it's not financially viable, let me be clear. This is not something that is financially beneficial to the landlord, me. But I think it's gonna be, in the long run, better for the practice, better for the patients, and also it's gonna take out some of our flow of, trespassing and dumping that I'm dealing with. I know I've heard put a wall across the dumpster. They don't care. They'll just put the full mattresses right on the driveway. They don't even go into the dumpster. They'll just put couches, mattresses, all of that right on the driveway. So I think if we can force them to go down the service road as TxDOT expands the service road and makes a sidewalk eventually, that should be the pathway for all of these individuals in the Beckley Pikes area to go around and up and force them to go away from this area. I'm here because to answer any questions. I know there was some back and forth on TxDOT. I'm sharing only what TxDOT gave us with P&Z. They're very clear. They're not taking our parking all the way onto our parcel. They showed what they want to take, and that's mostly the landscape buffer. If you have any questions or additional comments, I'm happy to help out.
Thank you, Dr. Patel. Is there anyone else here? Anybody online? Okay, I'll entertain a motion at 8:31 to close this public hearing. Councilman Drake. Second. Councilman Franklin. Those in favor? Franklin, aye.
Aye. Drake, aye. Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
Well, first of all, let me say, I'm sorry that it's happening. I've had that happen at my clinic also, so, I know it's frustration. Especially because it's in a blind spot, where you don't see that all the time. I think it's great to be able to go ahead and continue that wall across there, to isolate that, and if you're gonna expand more, will there be a bridge to the pharmacy, the new building also there? Or no?
No, the new building is separate.
Okay.
Separate freestanding building. It has to have 20 feet or so for fire purposes, so we're not connecting that building. That's the reason why.
Don't you wanna just expand that whole building and make it a big L though? Cause then you don't have to have that, unless you're having like a employee break area with lunch tables out there. Yeah, okay. Council, any questions?
What was staff recommendation?
The recommendation from staff, oops, I don't have that.
Staff recommend.
Yeah, I think it's approval, but.
Okay.
So the one thing, and I assume, well, that's a hard thing for when you pull into a parking lot, right straight ahead and see a dumpster right there. I assume there's gates and stuff on it.
Yeah, it's got metal doors, just like we require that on all.
Okay. On what you showed on the back doesn't have it. On the street view.
On the street view, yes, those that either got taken off or didn't get put on ever, but,
They were never there, and I took over the parcel actually.
Sure, okay.
And you can tell when you drive back there, if you're going that direction, you can see all the pluggers back there.
I don't doubt it's a needed thing, so.
I think it's clear that area needs to develop, and it's gonna take some time, but with slow changes, I think that area can be redeveloped, you know? And, you'll probably be seeing more of me because we did get some parcels around there. So I think there's opportunity there.
Yeah.
Development is happening, it's just gonna take a little time.
Don't you want to be on city water, though? I'm sorry. All right.
And on that note, for the fire and police, they've done a great job despite the trespassing, I have to say. There's never been an issue there.
It's still sure. Any other questions, council? No questions. All right. Entertain a motion to approve ordinance 22-027.
So moved.
Councilman Drake,
Second.
Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
But I,
Smith, aye.
It's 5-0. Thank you, John. I think Mr. Fuller's gonna.
I'm gonna read these for you. We're gonna do all three of these together, St. Charles School District.
Okay.
So we'll have a combined presentation, a combined public hearing, close public hearing. I would ask you to vote on each one of the ordinances separately.
Okay.
And I'll read them the rest of it. I always like to be the guy that earns the spot. All right. Conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinances 2228, 2229, 2230 of the city of Red Oak, Texas, amending comprehensive zoning ordinance and map thereof. This is heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning in the first case from ag zoning, plan development 143 for temporary buildings for elementary school at 725 Old Villa. Ordinance 22029, change zoning from single-family district, agricultural, and from single-family residential district and agricultural zoning to a plan development 114 for temporary buildings for Red Oak Middle School located at 154 Louise River Boulevard. And in 2230, again, change in zoning from agricultural to plan development 145 for temporary portable buildings for elementary school at 200 Lewis Ritter. Each one has its separate exhibits, and each has a savings clause, each has a penalty clause for an offense, and they all have the same effective date as the next.
Okay. So this is a public hearing. And the time is 8:36, and we will open this public hearing. And, Mr. Frills.
Good evening, I'm Kevin Frills. I use 109 West Red Oak Road, Red Oak, Texas. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for District Operations. Thank you for having me this evening, and let me just share some numbers with you that I shared with P&Z last week, and you'll see the need for these. Last week I told at East Ridge Elementary, which is the first one, last week at P&Z we had 32 new students on that campus. That didn't count the ones that withdrawn. That was 32 net new students as of last month. As of today, we have now 77. Eastridge. At the middle school, last week, we had 25 net new students. Now we're at 49 from last year. And at Woodin, we had 17 new students. Today, we're at 56. So those are net numbers. Mr. Lightfoot's laughing. He knows about this. We have that many new students net from last year just in a short amount of time. And every time we approve some new developments, we're going to get more students. So I would appreciate any assistance that you could give us this evening.
Just real quickly, I'll go over these three sites. So essentially, the school district needs to provide temporary buildings for classrooms, and we don't allow what essentially is a mobile unit, or a trailer on anywhere. And so we're having to do these PDs to allow them to have those, temporary buildings on site. Now, the ordinance does include a sunset clause, or after 3 years, it'll have to be revisited. Either, hopefully, they'll remove them, but if they can't or need an extra year, they still need to come back and ask you, as council, for that, permission. So, one of the things we asked them is, hey, can we try to hide them as best as possible? So over on East Ridge, off of Lavilla Road, they're back behind the school. And then the same thing with Woodin. Woodin is very similar looking, site with the, portables behind the building as best as possible so that they're hidden from view as much as possible. However, due to some, site constraints and, location of utilities on the middle school site, they will be able to be seen from 2377. So unfortunately, we couldn't get them behind any buildings without, taking up, in this case, it was gonna take up the parking lot, which we don't want them to have to do that. But also, there was, the available access for utilities, that was the best location. So if you have any other questions beyond that, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else here to speak? Entertain, the motion to close this public hearing at, 8:40. So moved. Councilman Drake.
Second.
Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye. All right. There's no doubt in my mind that, I hate to see that these, portables have come. I'm excited for what the district is trying to get accomplished, and I will continue to ask that in your circle of influence that you share with each registered voters that this bond gets passed, that they're going to be working on. And so, is there any questions that need to be answered?
Yes. Just general, and I piggyback your statement. Perhaps portables need to be visible, so we can see just how big of a problem that we have. But more importantly, to fire and police, since this is not common in Red Oak, are we prepared to deal with an emergency if this goes through?
Yes, sir. They're going to be tied into the fire alarm system. They will have fire alarms inside of there, and Mr. Pearl's correct me if I'm wrong. The Woodin and East Ridge will not have plumbing inside of there, but the one at the middle school will have plumbing in there, correct, sir?
Thank you. Chief?
Yeah, we have no concerns about being able to respond to any type of emergencies. I would assume it would be under the same lockdown procedures as the rest of the school district, so
They'll all have phones, they'll all have individual phones, it'll be just like the rest, and they also have cameras.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just going to push it to the point.
Why does this fall on the city? Is it temporary?
Well, yeah, like, so typically someone comes in and gives us a permit to do something, which they would have to do. And the first thing we do is go, what's the zoning for the site? Is this an allowed use? And in this case, it's not. Because we don't allow temporary or trailers. I mean, essentially what it is, it's a trailer. And so that's how it gets classified as zoning.
What was the time limit for contemplating?
3 years.
So the, okay. So we need to do each one of these ordinances separately, so I'll entertain.
Council would consider ordinance, 22-028 with conditions and exhibits that are attached.
Okay, I'll entertain that motion. Councilman Lightfoot.
Second.
Councilman Drake. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Left aye.
Smith, aye.
Right.
With regard to ordinance 22-029, make a motion to approve with the exhibits and the conditions as stated in the ordinance and attachment of the two.
Hello.
Councilman Goodwin. Councilman Smith. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Left aye.
Smith, aye. 5-0.
And lastly, Mayor, for your last ordinance tonight is ordinance 2230, as presented and stated for the portable buildings, 200 Lewis footer with the exhibits and conditions stated therein.
So moved. Councilman Drake.
Second.
Councilman Lightfoot. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Left aye.
Smith, aye. So I'll, go on to kind of share with you, so if they, the earliest that they can get is 2025. Okay, that's what, yes, no, a building built and get the kids out of those buildings is 2025, and that's fall.
I mean, school buildings.
August, that's correct. So they have, if they don't get their bond passed, it's 1 year later, 2026, they're gonna be back before that time. So you, and ask for an extension. So you, along with the two people,
I'm at a fair district.
well, I don't care, but you need to be counting this thing, okay? Anyway, departmental reports, Chief Plan. Thank you, Mr. Bruce.
Congratulations, Mr. Bruce.
Yeah.
Put them in the front.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Just wanted to highlight a couple things. Last week, Red Oak Fire Rescue, along with Red Oak PD and Red Oak ISD Police Department, participated in active shooter training. I know that's a shame that we even have to have that discussion and participate in those kind of trainings, in today's world, but, we participated in the training. The crews went through some pretty extensive, training, and while we did this at a school, this training can be utilized at any big box store, grocery store, church, or things like that within our community. So, we're gonna continue to work towards that. Again, it's, unfortunate that we have to participate in those things, but we will certainly wanna be prepared, in the event we ever have something tragic like that happen within our community. Our crew's been busy lately with grass fires. We've seen about a 366% increase from July 1st to current, over the last 2 years, combined. Ellis County is still under a burn ban. In Texas, out of the 254 counties, there's only 29 counties that are not under a burn ban. Those counties are generally up in the upper panhandle. Ellis County has moved to the exceptional drought, which is the worst drought we can get. As you all know, I'm sure trying to keep up with flowers and foundations and that sort of thing. We just want to encourage everyone to, anything they're doing outside, whether it's grilling, anything, welding, anything of that nature that they're doing outside, to be cautious, have a fire extinguisher, water hose, buckets of water, anything out there in the event a fire does break out. We've had several within the area. Just to kind of give you an insight, we gave 35 mutual aid responses in July. That's a pretty large number, and most of those were to grass fires. In that same time frame, we received 20 mutual aid responses mostly for grass fires. So it's extremely dry out there. The crews are working hard to get these things under control as quickly as possible. We're following the brush trucks with the engines everywhere they go, just so if a grass fire breaks out, they've got the appropriate apparatus immediately ready to respond. Other than that, I don't have any additional comments unless y'all have any questions. Boys, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah, so the big one that was in Glen Heights, you know, that one probably pulled from a whole bunch of areas.
Yes, sir, we had units from all over Ellis County, even into Dallas County, and we even called the Forestry Service out on that one. It grew very quickly. It went from a very small fire to a very large fire in just a matter of minutes. It ended up consuming just over 200 acres.
Wasn't my daddy.
It wasn't, that's the first thing that the gentleman said to your right asked me.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir. Chief Wolf.
Mayor, Council, I just wanted to offer up two things. One, I wanted to expound on the training that happened last week. It's more than just active shooter training. It was rescue task force operations to provide first touch medical care as fast as possible to any injured or wounded that may happen as a result of an active shooter. It was a multidiscipline function, and Red Oak, Glen Heights, and Red Oak ISD and Red Oak Fire and Rescue are one of only a few agencies in Ellis County that actually embraced the rescue task force concept. It's pretty innovative for agencies our size to have adopted those practices and being able to put that into play. We had some really good dialogue and a lot of good training that resulted from that. And I think it was a good collaboration with the ISD and our surrounding partners. And I would say that it was very successful on that training. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, currently we provide jail services to the city of Ovilla. In the past, we've provided it to the city of Ovilla and Ferris. A couple of years ago, we terminated our contract with Ferris and served them notice that we were no longer going to provide jail services to them as it was taxing our staff. We're seeing the same thing that's occurring with Ovilla whenever they make arrests. They don't make very many, but when they do, it requires us to pull an officer off the street to book their prisoners in because they just don't do it enough. So unless otherwise directed by council or city management, I plan on serving the city of Ovilla with notice that we're going to terminate jail services with them based on a 60-day written notice that will no longer be housing their prisoners in our jail, which will reduce the impact on my staff and also reduce some liability in housing other people's prisoners in our holding facility.
Where will they go with their prisoners?
They'll either have to contract with another municipality or they'll have to take them to county.
Do we have any resources that we get in exchange from Ovilla or Ferris?
In the past, we received a very minimal monetary offset, but it didn't even cover the cost of meals.
Okay.
When you factor in city or staff's time.
Okay.
Bread and water?
Happy Meal?
How many open positions do you have?
We currently have 5 open positions.
Okay, and we filled how many in the last, say, year?
In the last year, 4. At one time, I was down 9 officers, so I still have 5 of the 9 left to fill. We're authorized 34 sworn.
Thank you.
Okay, no issue with you moving forward or giving them those, if that's if you're looking for direction. I think that's the right thing to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. I only have a couple things that I want to highlight from the report, and most of these being dates that you guys may want to jot down. First is August 27th. That is the Red Oak Area Chambers Founders Day. So I know many of you attend that. So August 27th from 9 to 2 at Watkins Park. The other one is October 22nd. Did I say 2nd or 7th? 27th. August 27th. 7th, thank you. Sorry, August 27th. The other one is October 22nd, and that is the Red Oak Fall Festival that will be happening right out here, Pearson Park, as well as the Municipal Center. And that's hosted by the City of Red Oak. And then the other one is December 3rd, and that's Christmas at Red Oak. So those are 3 events coming up, and we hope you guys can all attend. I will take any other questions you guys might have.
What's the third day?
December 3rd. August 27th, October 22nd, and December 3rd.
How's your transition with the website?
It's going good. So we had our first powwow with Civic last week to take a look at the website, some of the things we can do, and then I meet on the 25th of this month with their design team to start taking a look at the design of the actual website and what improvements or changes we can make to that. So I don't have a ton to provide right now. I should have more after that August meeting, and then we're working on that final timeline, still within a goal date of going live with a new site at the first of the year. I'll have more as we go along. I just don't unfortunately have a lot to report right now.
You don't tell me now, but, you know, I'd be interested to know, are you focusing more on function or on look and branding? Like, where's the focus gonna be? But if you don't have that yet, if you're still preliminary, that's okay.
So we do have a couple goals that we've identified with Civic. One of those really more being functionality. Of course, we want it to look nice, and yeah, we want it to be pretty. But at the end of the day, if it looks good and it doesn't work, that's of no benefit to any of our residents. So we have identified a few key things that we're looking for. One is a better search feature. Right now, it's really hard to search. A lot of that we can handle internally by updating some of the content, making sure that we have the most up-to-date PDFs or documents available, that we don't have a lot of old content on there, which we do. We're trying to get rid of that. Another one we identified with Civic is ADA compliance. So right now, a lot of our website isn't necessarily 100% there. We are trying our best to get in and update that content. And then we did do training 2 weeks ago with staff. So they've gotten kind of a look at if they provide new documents or if they do new images, what criteria they should follow. Everything needs alt text. Don't upload image 135, whatever. That image needs a name, it needs a description. So we are working with Civic as well as working internally to get that updated. And then the other feature, or I would say not necessarily feature, but item on our list that we talked to Civic about is limiting it to 3 clicks. So the 3-click rule. So if somebody goes to your website, whether they go to the homepage or they go search the website, can they find the content they're needing in 3 clicks? So not having 15 different subpages, can we reduce that and put that on maybe one page, rather than a page here, a page here, a page here. So, functionality. Sorry, that was a very long answer to your question. Functionality, obviously.
I appreciate it.
But yes, we'd like it to look pretty.
Great.
And be on brand, so.
Right.
Any other questions?
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Harper.
Mayor, council, obviously, if you've driven around the city, you see all the development that's going on. We're in various stages of development, from just starting to almost done on several residential projects, but I did want to note something that did not make it on the report, because it just happened today, but we got the permit for the 3rd building out at Compass, which is another 250,000 square foot data center, so we're all excited to see that continue moving forward. So, if you got any other questions, please let me know.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Platt.
a few things to highlight from the report. Our sales tax, we have not received yet for August collections, but July's, we're still trending around the 15% increase over year-to-date from last year. We are nearing the end of fiscal year 2022, with only 2 months remaining, and so we're getting close to the end of the fiscal year, and we are still, our revenues are trending up, our expenses are staying under budget, so we are still expecting to end the year with an operating surplus despite the inflation, the circumstances around us. So we will work on continuing to wrap up the budget, and then we will start on fiscal year on audit. That's all I have for highlights, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. HR.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a brief overview from my monthly report. We have hired 4 new employees this month of July. The big thing coming up this month will be our annual open enrollment for benefits. Again, we've talked about it, I believe, at the last meeting, but we did secure a rate pass on all of our lines of insurance this year, so there'll be no rate changes or design changes to our plan. So it's an exciting year for our employees, and we'll have a passive enrollment. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Mr. Benford.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a couple items. We did get the phone system all replaced, this month. That was probably our biggest project. 75 phones, they seem to be going well. No nasty hiccups, a few little small ones, but nothing big. Live Oak, that's our other thing we're spending most of our time on. We did get the fiber redone to the field house that we had to cut for the driveway. That was completed finally today. And all the Ethernet drops and coax are done in section 1. They're just pulled up in the cement waiting for the finish out of the walls. They drop those down.
Section 1 is what?
Section 1, it's funny, they're starting from right to left, so I have to keep that in head. But that would be court all the way to the end of IT, includes IT, Public Works, and then the county and all that, which aren't really included in it. So it's just that first section, the court, and all the way over to that first hallway. So section 2, they've started.
How did IT get included in phase 1?
Same way Public Works did. Yeah, same way Public Works did. You know, because I'm the IT guy, and that's my kid right there, so. No, I don't know why they started at the right end of the building to start with, but I don't know, that was.
Well, I think really we wanted to start down on the court side because we know that those buildings over there where court resides right now, we're gonna have to have a little more time because those are gonna be torn down, and that'll allow them to get in and start figuring out what we're doing with furniture and everything else a little bit quicker. So it didn't really have anything to do with John, I just like to rub it on.
And I was actually in section 2, and then I got moved to section 1, so. But it looks good over there if you haven't been over in a while. It's busy.
Good. I like that.
Got any other questions?
Thank you very much. Mr. Ragsdale.
Mayor and City Council, I was just going to point out a few things. We had another very, very busy month in July, even though we only had half the programs because we ended the summer reading club program in the middle of July. We still had 55 new patrons. We had 1,548 visitors to the library, and the library circulated 2,949 items. That's the main things I wanted to point out. I did want to tell you that FYI, we've done a survey of the number of people that come into the library the very last hour, and even pre-COVID, the last hour from 6 to 7 has been extremely slow, and we've been getting requests to open a little bit earlier. So we are going to go ahead and change the hours, and I just want to let you guys know that beginning probably this week, we'll post it all, and I'll work with Alexa, and we'll have new hours as of middle of August. And we will open from 10 until 6. We'll open early at 10, close at 6. And then Friday, Saturday will stay the same. We'll be open a half day on Friday, half day on Saturday. We'll readjust it, maybe look at it again when we move into the new building, and hopefully, have a full staff, possibly more, full-time staff members, and we can expand the hours possibly in the new building. But anyone, if you have any questions or comments? Great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Kelly.
Mayor and council, good evening. I just wanted to report to you that the walkway from Live Oak Street paralleling Live Oak, from Red Oak in Watkins Park is complete. So you don't have to walk in the street anymore to get from Red Oak Road to the park. And you can get all the way from the park to City Hall with pretty much staying off of the street. So it's for the new government center. It's going to be kind of a little bit of a change, and so I'm real proud to say that we're finished with that. I also want to do a quick employee spotlight that I talked about a little bit in the report was Danny Weimer. He's our park supervisor, and he's very valuable as an employee. If y'all haven't driven by and seen that football field that he's been working on, it's pretty amazing. You drive by and you think, man, that thing looks fake, it's green, and some folks have told me it's artificial turf driving by, but he's worked really hard on making sure that thing is just a gem of a field. He is staying to the water schedule. We only watering 3 days a week. We are using water agents and some other tricks up that he knows he's pulling right out from underneath his sleeve, and he's getting the water to stay a little bit longer with those wetting agents, and so that's helped a lot. So I'm real proud of him for that, but he's doing a spectacular job, and I'm glad he works for me and he's on my team. But,
I think he's about the zoo, so we tell him thank you personally. I thought I saw his name on the.
Is he still there?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. But the other thing I wanted to announce was that, last month I tackled the, National, NRPA, the National Recreation Parks Association's executive, CPRE, which is Certified Professional Parks and Recreation Executive exam, and I did pass it, so I got to achieve the highest level of certification in Parks and Recreation. I am the 40th person in Texas to receive that, and about 650 for the United States, so there's not that many of us out there, but it's something that I'm real proud of and I worked hard to achieve, and hopefully that some of the stuff that I learned during those classes I had to take will rub off and help me in my career here.
You guys got a raise recently?
No, sir.
You got a lot of new letters to add to your signature, so.
Alphabet soup, but, really, this is one of the ones that I can say I'm very proud of, but, the learning process was part of you can't just walk in there, take that exam and expect to do well, but, the learning process has really helped me as far as understanding a lot of things in the Parks and Rec at a deeper level, so, I'm glad I did it.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Williams.
Last but not least, good evening, Mayor and Council. Just highlight an update on the Live Oak project, for us, Live Oak project, but that's the road, parking, and drainage around what will be the government center. So, the new contractor, because I've been working about 3.5, almost 4 weeks now, had some big concrete pours, still have a couple more to go. So they're basically giving them a variance so that they can start at 2 a.m. and pour through the night in order to get those kind of pours in with the heat. So that's going real well. They're really ahead of the schedule now. So, and then our stormwater crews continue to work in the Beckley Pikes area. They completed the culvert crossings, trying to get work done in front of when the county comes to rebuild the roads, reconstruct the roads there. So, and I think the latest update from the county is August 29th for them mobilizing and starting there in that area. So we'll be ready for them. So, and then our street crews are continuing right now. They're working on the ramps, and again, it's just advance level ups, rebuilding shoulders, things like that in advance of the microservicing contractor that will be coming in sometime in September. So, and that's about it for my update, and you're welcome to take any questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, you know, things are looking great throughout the city, and thanks for y'all's hard work, and the parks are looking good too, so. As long as they don't find those Hershey bars and splash zone. Okay. Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Hard to follow that one. Just a few updates on the Government Center project. Roof is about 3/4 of the way complete. So they actually started receiving metal into the gutters and that sort of thing. So they're moving pretty quickly on the membrane and the gutters. We walked the site today. They've on what we call section 1, which is the west end of the building, they started actually putting in the ceiling grid on that end. So they're moving pretty quick. The drywall's all up down there. It's all primed and ready to be painted. So it's moving along pretty quick. We have a couple of delays that we found out about this morning. The glass for the large windows that were cut into the library have a 6-week lead time-ish. So that's going to kind of slow it down a little bit as far as the glass goes. But they've got the stone in on site now, so we'll start seeing the cast stone go up, which will be neat to see the front of the building kind of take shape. And then they've got the fire alarm guys are in there now, setting the fire alarm up, and they're continuing to work across. But overall, the construction itself is about 50% complete as of Friday. So I think we're in pretty good shape. There's a little. We may have a few more change orders on some small things, but I think overall the larger things have been found and we've addressed them. So hopefully it's just a matter of getting the work done now.
One other thing I'd add, and I don't know a whole lot about it yet, but real estate, rejournals.com, real estate publication, I guess Lee has made some submittal to them a while back, and we are actually one of 2 finalists for City Municipality of the Year. Wow. Along with Converse. So. With who? Converse. So we'll find out more about that later. We'll just found that out today, so just wanted to let you know.
That's cool. All right, anything else? All right. Yep, so time is 9:10, and we will go into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, 551.087, 551.072, and that's what we'll do.
I would not anticipate any legal action necessary, but we have a posted agenda item 25, Mayor, that we need to come to handle, which is also a special meeting.
Okay. So we do have one there afterwards. Okay. All right, and that time was, 9:10?
Yes, sir. Todd, do you have anybody from outside that needs to be Zoom in?
I don't even need Zoom at all in there. It's just, we will need Lee and Scott.
Okay. The time is 10:16, and we will reconvene back into open session. We do have action item number 25, consider adoption of resolution number 22-064R, the City Council of the City of Red Oak, Texas, authorizing the city manager and city attorney to take all appropriate means, including the use of eminent domain under Texas law, to acquire an interest in real property along Sunflower Street, Butterfly Lane, and Bluebird Lane for a public purpose, to wit, municipal stormwater drainage and appeturances.
They did that to you on purpose.
They did. They threw that weird one in.
Let Bob put the lawyer word in there on you.
Appeturances. Council, this is something that we, consulted our lawyer about, and I'll entertain a motion to approve that resolution. Councilman, Drake, second by Councilman Lightfoot. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Drake,
aye.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
That's 5-0. We do not have any other actions, that came out of executive session, and I'll entertain a motion at, 10:17 to adjourn.
So moved.
Councilman Goodwin. Second. Councilman Drake. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
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 Lightfoot, aye.
Passes 5-0. Good